Rebecca, what was the inspiration for the show? Where did you come to figure out what you were going to do with the show?
Well, it's based off my younger brother Steven, Steven Sugar. And he works on the show with me. He's a background artist on the show. And a lot of it was inspired by just when we were growing up, and sort of being kids together, and how fantasy, sort of sci-fi fantasy nerdiness was pervasive in our friendship as siblings. So it's sort of, I wanted to make a show that was like the feeling of just hanging out with him when we were growing up.
What was it like watching fan reactions to the new opening?
It was great. That I've been waiting a bit because we'd finished it. I was really proud of it, really excited about it. It was great. I was really wondering what people would think. I know Stephen and Ivy, my composers, were really curious how people would feel about the remix of the song. It was great. And Jasmine Lai did the art direction on it. I think the colors are incredible. I'm really proud of the new opening. Sorry.
Any chance we'll see the Jen Home one at some point this season?
I don't know. That's a big one. Maybe.
You guys have utilized a lot of techniques that are just relatively foreign in Western animation as far as storytelling and pacing and so on. And obviously the response to the show has been phenomenal, but when you guys set out to do this show and do it so different in so many subtle ways, what was your outlook like? The hopes for how it was going to be received, and your strategy for making this work in this market?
Hubris is probably a big part of that.
We kind of had this idea for this sort of multi-layered puzzle that takes a really long time to unwrap, but because we're also working in children's television animation, we wanted to make sure that every episode was like one puzzle piece. So we sort of eventually came to a few different philosophies about how to unspool this, and one of the things was we sort of we would say, okay, this episode is about one concept, but then once you know that concept, suddenly in your head you're like, wait a minute, but if this is true, then these two other things are true. And so maybe one of those two other things becomes its own episode, and one of the other things becomes something you're just wondering about, crazy, and then it finally comes up later. So it's sort of like this huge multi-tiered puzzle, and it took us a while to sort of set up the ground rules of the world. And so it's the first 10 or 13 or so kind of move at this pace where you're like, okay, where's this going? But it's because there's this whole, we have to set up the rules of the world. It's kind of like D&D world building style. So yeah.
I think I went through something as a cartoon fan where I had that moment where I loved fun, self-contained cartoons when I was little, and then at a certain point I was like, oh, I only like long serialized stories. If it's not over 26 episodes, then what's the point? But then I realized sort of later, it's really hard to make a story that fits like a cartoon that can start and finish and be complete. And these stories that take 26 episodes to tell, there's actually something a little easier about that. So I think starting this show, I wanted to do basically the hardest thing possible, which is self-contained stories that were also long serialized stories. See if both were possible on top of each other.
Question for Estelle. How do you go? I love the song American Boy. How do you go from that scene into Cartoon Network or doing voice acting on children's cartoons?
Well, American Boy was 8 years ago. So there's a bunch of other things in between that. Voice acting was something I actually wanted to do. I told my team, I want to do a cartoon, and then Rebecca called, and I was like, I'm in the cartoon, it's wonderful. But no, it's not very hard. What I've learned though with voice acting is it pushes you with other levels of using your voice. So it's not just about singing, it's not just about having melodies. With singing, it is purely melodies, it is purely phrasing. But this is just sounds. And I learned how to say in 50 different ways. Then I do a hump sound, never knew that was a sound. It pushed me, and I've learned how to do some things I sing, it's a whole other feeling. You know, I could do more, have more characters, which is cool. You know, which is fun for me.
Start whacking on. Yeah, start whacking them like a mom and
Oh,
Walmart.
absolutely. Yeah. I'm sure happy. But absolutely, yeah, I want to do more. I think it's fun. It's genuine. It's a different way for me to approach just being creative. I like it. One more time?
Use your slate. Use your slate.
As much as possible, yeah. I mean, when we had to do the episode when I had to be two different people, like two different characters, the split Garnet. Well, Ruby and Sapphire. It's early, I'm sorry. Yeah, Rebecca was like, just go with two different voices. And I was like, is this one alright? Is this one alright? It's crazy. But again, it's one of those, I learned something new. I learned, I had to do it on the fly, and, we used to do it back to back so it'd be realistic. So, yeah, we get to, I get to.
One of my favorite things is when we get the whole cast in there, everybody that's there that day to do crowd walla, because something funny always comes out of that. But as far as Steven goes, every now and then I'll improv a little something or change the line a little bit just to see what it does and have options. But yeah, that's my favorite thing, when everybody gets in there and changes their voice to something weird and says whatever they want to say, and it gets a little wild.
I think, what was it, recently, I think it was when Steve was talking about ring toss, and it's like, how excited can you sound about ring toss? And just like talking about how you threw these rings on the bottles, and you sounded so genuinely enthusiastic about it. It was like impossibly. Anyway,
Steven can be enthusiastic about just about anything.
Yeah, almost anything.
Play that trick.
When I first got the audition, I basically took it to my voiceover teacher, and I had not decided on a voice or anything, but I had this early drawing of Steven and a brief description, and then 10 lines, and then the original theme song, and just kind of took the raw materials and came out with something that I felt really strongly about. Occasionally I'll have an audition that'll come through that I feel super strongly about, and this was one of the ones I felt the strongest about that I'd ever done. But the character development was, I wanted to bring out the kid side of him. I wanted him to sound innocent and like a kid that's just enjoying his time and wants to grow up, is still a kid at the same time. And I feel like even now that he's growing up on the show, he still retains that. And that's kind of the central core of Steven for me.
I got the picture of what Garnet looked like, and we went in the same day and recorded, like almost the day after or two, and I had no real clue other than Rebecca saying to me, she's the grown-up. And I was like, well, I relate. I have loads of brothers and sisters, and I'm definitely the grown-up. I'm the oldest girl, there's 9 of us, and there's 8 below me. So, I'm 7 below me, so I'm definitely the grown-up. So it was a natural thing. It wasn't hard. I know I put it in my head. How would I speak to my little brothers and sisters when I want to be patronizing? When I want to be like, sit down? When I, when I want to be like, come on, or like be nice. And I love that as you've been going along, you've been seeing a nicer side to God. I'm so sarcastic all the time. I love being sarcastic, but sometimes you gotta be nice to kids. So it's been nice to explore that too.
Have you guys seen some of the fan creations that are spread up around the show? If so, what are some of your favorites?
Fan creations.
Gems of this.
I love all the gemstones. I was hoping, even from the beginning, I hope people can make those and then fuse them together. I was really hoping that it could become a language for people to kind of draw together and explore what their relationships mean with each other. And seeing that happen within the community, that was the real dream to see actually happen. So yeah, I hope there's more of it all the time. Favorite fan creation? Oh my gosh. And there's so many that I love.
There's so much.
I'm trying to think. I've gotten a bunch of letters that are just amazing. There was one I got that had like someone sent me a gemstone with like a huge like flaming electric sword. And I was like, that rules. I think that they also had like rollerblades on.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was just everything you could really want.
Yeah.
I love them all. I really do.
Last year at Comi-Con, I think it was last year that Tom was here, right?
Yeah.
I was doing an interview with Tom Sharpling, who plays Greg, and somebody asked me what if you had to pick one fan art that you could see, what would it be? And or a fusion of your character and someone else, a crossover. And I chose a character from League of Legends named Zach, just because it's my name and I played him all the time. And then I never heard anything back until about 3 days ago. Somebody tweeted me with this drawing of Steven with Zach, and he had the little goo antenna, and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. A year later, somebody watched that interview and was like, hey, I should draw this, and tweet it to him. So I have to thank him for that. That was kind of special.
Still play League of Legends?
You know, I haven't played in a few months. It kind of consumed my life for a bit. I'll be back soon. No, I won't.
What was your highest rank?
I was gold 2, but then I got decay this season. But I was support me.
How far into the story have you have in your head? Do you have like a giant book, like you just have all the plots already planned out and everything? Is that how you approach the show and every episode?
I mean, I have the story that I want to tell. It's loose because I also want to be able to make it with my team. So we don't sort of script things out. We make outlines that are then boarded. So there's a fluidity to the process. But I have the arcs that I want to do. And I'm constantly talking to my team about them because I want to make sure that it's the best way we can tell that story. I feel like I have the story, but the way that we tell it is something we do as a team.
And we recorded more of that section
so
than we
much from when
do
we
in
first met
section
them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love watching Steven grow up, and one thing I'm really excited to see is his powers develop even more from what they already are. Because we've seen the shield, we've seen the healing powers, we've seen all the rose powers that he's inherited, and I mean those are only getting stronger as he matures. So it'll be fun to see what cool stuff these guys cook up for that, and animation wise too. I mean it always looks beautiful. So.
No, cartoons are great.
I mean, games are more like a Rubik's Cube where you go, I got 18,000 lines and I gotta get through it.
Well, I think same thing. I'd like to see. It'd be fun because I feel like Garnet's like knows everything.
You're doing 11 minutes.
Is everything, and every once in a while she's like, oh, something new. It'd be fun to see her kind of gain a new power, explore a new power from something she didn't know she had, and then she's like, oh, damn it, I'm bored of this. This is wonderful. You know, it'd be even better. Like, I think it'd be fun.
Clowns in the same room together, just bouncing off of each other, and it's awesome.
What are your favorite moments of the show so far?
Oh wow. For me, it would have to be the episode's return and jailbreak. That was those were sort of it was like when we started the show. That was like a really faint glimmer in the distance, like, oh, we want the characters to go to space and fight a bad guy and crash a ship. And it was like, how are we ever gonna get there? And and then we somehow managed to do it. So like, yeah, it'll forever be like one of the favorite things that we ever accomplished. Yeah,
that was a long-term dream.
Yeah.
How to finally see Garnet. And understand. For a long time, I was trying to figure out the best way to show that, to introduce her really to Steven and to everyone. The moment where they come together was something I was dreaming about, and me and Jeff Liu kind of teamed up storyboarding it, and I'm really really proud of it.
And also, yeah, because there was like, we were like, there's going to be a whole fight. And then I remember being like, why don't we make it a song also? And then we were just like,
Fights, yeah.
Yeah, a fight song. So.
Yeah, I remember I was asking Estelle about it because I was like, I was like, I was really intimidated to write a song. And I was like, what should we do? Because it's like a fight song and a love song and a victory song all at the same time. And then you sang me a couple bars of Gold, like Spandau Ballet. Yeah, and the theme from Fame, and I wrote it down. I still have the paper. And then I was just listening to this over and over and over again. I was like, it's got to be this good.
It's good. I mean, my little niece, my mom sends me videos of my family. This is where they see me because they're all still in nice. Well, she sent me a video one day, and it was literally her watching a video like this, Stronger Than You clip, watching it, and she's like, what? Auntie Stell. You know, and that makes my heart sing because it's kind of like they get it, they understand it, and it was just watching her laser focus on this, you know, and it's the part where she's fighting and she's like, this is who I am, and it's just so wonderful. It's when you know it's a good one when the kids are that, you know, and it's her song, it's her jam. That's her song every day. My mom's like, this is her ritual. This is her, don't disturb her. Let her sit and watch this. So, you know, this is when you know it's something great. When the kids are that, you know, in it. People are that into it. So kudos to you.
Thanks to you. Oh, thank you.
What do we expect from this upcoming Supervising?
I don't want to say anything.
Yeah.
Steven Universe coming up soon.
Yeah, please watch it.
A brand new challenge for the jam.
Yeah.
That's
a good way.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any special guests that you want to be on the show that you have in mind for maybe a character you wanted to bring on?
Oh, I do, but I don't know if I should say.
Yeah,
You should
definitely
definitely talk about it.
Grease those wheels, make it happen. Put it out there.
Little hints.
And they'll find out, and they'll come to
It can
you.
either happen or it can just be jinxed from this moment forward.
Probably the first.
Choose wisely.
No. I feel like if I said you'd know who it was.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say. Thanks though.
We've had some seriously awesome special guests though.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky.
Yeah, we've been really lucky.
When it comes to transmedia tie-ins like the comic books, for example, what sort of creative input do you guys have going into like how to represent the characters, especially like when Steven Universe comics started? There wasn't much of the show to build off of.
I think I wish I could be. I'm very much in the show all the time, and everything that gets a little further, that's being made somewhere else, is like a little harder to collaborate on because the show takes up so much of my time. So I think we would talk a lot about just sort of broad things about the characters, like for example, Garnet never asks questions ever. She's sure of everything she says. So I'd say, you know, if you're putting this in, like, she'll never ask a question. She'll always know. Things like
so
that.
If you see Garnet ask a question in something, it's not canon. It didn't happen.
Yeah, and just broad strokes about the characters. I think, for example, some of the books I was really involved with the guidebook because I wanted to make sure that there were real answers in that book. So certain things that when something is supposed to be, if we're going to answer definitive questions, I always want to be very, very involved. But then I also just love like Jeremy and Coleman's work, so I also just like to see what they come up with, and just I think everything. It's amazing to see like pieces of the show, like almost for the first time. But I do get to have input.
We did get to be like very involved with the game, the Steven Universe game, Attack the Light. We actually got to write the plot for it and influence a lot of the design, of the world. So that was a lot of fun.
It's fun to do the voice for Attack the Light too. It's just a lot of video game sounds that I'd never imagined were even possible. But
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing when I hear you say something that I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Hear you say, I feel like this weird like cheated on feeling. Where I'm just like, when did that happen? Who were you with?
Yeah.
Because I'm there for every record, so.
it was a different studio, different everything. It was kind of weird for me too to record that.
We're gonna go to the next room now, okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody.